Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV and the WRF, have a look at the risk of some more thunderstorms perhaps on Sunday, as we have been alluding to some cooler and more unsettled conditions coming to end the month and perhaps even start July. It looks like we're going to see that change for all through Sunday, but there could be quite a messy breakdown as that happens. We could see temperatures rise to as high as 32 or 33 degrees in the east on Sunday afternoon, and further northwards and westwards we could see big thunderstorms roll in as that instability moves in against that very hot and humid air. So it could be quite a lively Sunday coming up, but then as we head into next week it is going to be turning much cooler. Again, nothing cold, just generally back towards average, losing that humidity and the high dew points, so it's going to feel much more comfortable out there, and those temperatures will likely be back down to the low 20s. However, looking likely to be more rain, and we'll be seeing that on the GFS, GM, Eastern WF and the ensemble proper low pressure systems near or close by. So yes, going to become less oppressive, not quite as hot as it's been recently and over the past few weeks in general, but it also will be accompanied by a lot more showers and potential longer spells of rain in places as well, but we're only able to pinpoint that nearer the time. So do remember, if you enjoy the videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, you can see you've got a bit of messy conditions in the north and the west at the moment. This is the low pressure systems trying to push in from the west. It's going to take a good 48 hours to have any real success, but it does mean for the north and the west of the British Isles we're going to continue to see just areas of rain thrown at you, again losing its intensities as it does the further eastward you go, turning just to more cloud with some heavier rain in the west. So yeah, it's going to be quite unsettled in these regions as we've got a bit of a stationary pattern, but this low pressure system out in our west is going to break through, as I said, with some lively conditions on Sunday as it does. So it is not particularly great in these regions, already turning cooler and more unsettled, but further eastwards and further southwards it's another pretty hot and humid day. Put on the temperatures as of just after 4 p.m. and you can see it is hot where we don't have that rain and cloud in the north and the west. Temperatures rising to as high as 27 or 28 degrees today, and with high humidity, high dew points, it is making it feel pretty oppressive out there, and that will continue in these regions all the way through to Sunday before we get a bit of a respite on Monday. Now, if you go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see that rain in the west just losing intensity as it progresses eastwards, but we could see some heavier stuff through parts of Scotland through the overnight hours and into tomorrow. It doesn't look too bad, a few showers and some thicker cloud in places, but still, of course, generally more cloud and more patches of rain in that northern and western regions. But another pretty stunning day for most further southwards and eastwards, and again those temperatures perhaps rising as high as 30 degrees in a few localised areas. Into Sunday you can see the cold front properly starting to arrive. Again, distinction between warm, hot, humid air to our east and some cooler conditions in the west, and on this dividing line this is where severe thunderstorms could break out through Sunday afternoon. You look at that progress onto Sunday at 3 p.m. Look at these dark reds appearing, some intense convection along the cold front. Again, even in winter time along some stark cold front boundaries we can see some intense conditions, squall lines, things like that. But along this sort of boundary, this is looking like more of an American type of storm system where we see proper air mass collisions between very hot and humid and cool Atlantic air masses. So yeah, we could be seeing some really lively conditions. Again, most likely in the north and the west, this sweeping through. Intense thunderstorms before filling out into more of an area of heavy rain. So you can see it break out, those thunderstorms, around that 12 till 3 p.m. point, then till 6 p.m. reaching peak intensity in terms of widespread rainfall, and then by 9 p.m. to midnight peeling off out into the North Sea. So it could be some very lively conditions here. Need to keep a very close eye on this. Wouldn't be surprised to see yellow, maybe even amber warnings issued for the thunderstorms, as there is high likelihood here, looking at the widespread nature of this, and those darker reds showing you that impact region will be high. Haven't got warnings issued yet, but we'll likely see changes to that come tomorrow morning when the Met Office do their daily update or daily look at the risk of warnings. However, as we head into Monday, it's a much fresher feel, and you can see a massive rain heading in from the west. But the big thing is, with more of an Atlantic flow, I've got this hot and humid air around, so the rain will be probably of less intensity. You can see the showers, a bit of greens in here, but not like the reds we see recently. And generally with that rain could be a bit of a heavier core to it, but most of it is light to moderate. And that's the same into Tuesday. Could be some showers in places and some more significant rain in the north and west, but shouldn't be too heavy. And again, could be miserable in places, but this is the typical Atlantic flow. And again, you can see low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, quite deep low pressure systems there. And you can see the air mass is oscillating here. And again, could be some warmer air masses at times, but it's transient, so we'll never allow those temperatures really to rise all too much. You can see on Sunday, though, very hot and humid air mass, 14, 15, maybe even 16 degrees at 850 HPA. But sweeping in is that cooler air mass by the early hours of Monday, down towards 2 or 3 degrees. So almost a 10 to maybe as high as 15 degree temperature contrast in some regions in the space of 12 hours. And that's really going to fuel that rain and thunderstorms through Sunday afternoon. And you can see it on the dew points as well. Dew points as high as maybe 17, 18 degrees just ahead of those thunderstorms, dropping down towards maybe 5 or 6 degrees come Monday morning. Again, if we look at the max temperatures, you can see this afternoon reaching as high as 26 to 28 in the east. Again, pretty pleasant. Maybe a bit oppressive for some, though. Saturday, again, those temperatures rising slightly higher, widely 25 to 28 with dry conditions. Perhaps could squeeze a 28 to 30 degree out there. We'll just have to see how cloud amounts do build. And then into Sunday, that's where we could see some really hot conditions. See, by 3 p.m, temperatures could rise as high as 31 or 32, maybe even locally 33 or 34. But look at the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, 16 to 19 degrees, a huge 10 to 15 degree temperature contrast in some of these areas between the east and the west. Again, all showing the big cold front sweeping in, giving all that heavy rain and potential risk of thunderstorms. And then into Monday, again, you can see temperatures much cooler, maybe 23 or 24 in the far southeast, but further north to westwards, mid to low teens under some cloud and rain. Elsewhere, high teens, low 20s, and into Tuesday again, widely low to maybe mid-20s, could even reach 25 to 27 in the east. Again, if we see a bit of a waft of warmer conditions, but it will turn cooler as fresher air comes in from the west once again. So we're not ruling out warmer conditions in the next week or so beyond Sunday, but it won't be sustained. It will be brief sectors of warm air coming in from the Atlantic, warm sectors as we see there on Tuesday. So yeah, could still be warm conditions, but nothing sustained, and always the risk of thicker cloud and rain. If you look at the Cape as well, you can see intense Cape ahead of that cold front, but it's not only the Cape here, it's also sort of the instability and the lift we're seeing from the cold front. So there's a lot of energy available, but also an insane amount of lift available as well, all culminating in a likelihood of some quite big storms. We'll have to just see how severe they could be here. If you look at the WRF, again, can't look at the Rome yet, as it's not into the 36-hour time frame, but we'll have a look tomorrow. You can see through Saturday there's going to be a bit of Cape around, so it could be a few heavy showers breaking out, but we're not seeing a lot of lift really on Saturday. Not a lot of instability yet, so it could be energy for storms, but we're not seeing storms at this stage. Through Sunday, though, you can see big levels of Cape develop ahead of that cold front around that 2 to 4 p.m. point. And again, could see the most severe thunderstorms through central, northern and northeastern parts of England into parts of Scotland as well. And eventually that does degrade away into Monday. Again, we can look at the precipitation for this. You can see through Saturday, although there is high levels of Cape, we've not got a lot of lift, a lot of instability around things to cause convection to take place. Again, Cape is the energy available once convection gets going. We're not seeing anything to cause convection here, so that's why not seeing any thunderstorms on Saturday. But there's a lot of lift with that cold front sweeping in, so convection looking highly likely. On Sunday, you could see the very severe band of rain, again, forming into a line. So line convection, maybe even squall line appearing there, and a proper thundery squall line. In winter times, we can see squall lines with torrential rain, strong winds, and the odd lightning strike. But it could be even more severe here with the increase in energy available for this squall feature. And again, perhaps clearing into the North Sea around that sort of 7 or 8 p.m. point, and completely clearing around midnight. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on that. Also, just want to look at the max temperatures here, see what it is forecasting. Forecasting for Sunday afternoon. Again, here around the 3 p.m. point, forecasting around 29 or 30 degrees, so not quite as high as the UKV, and again, probably has more showers and storms moving in, but you can see how the air sweeps that hot and humid conditions away into Monday. So we'll just have to keep a very close eye on those temperatures, likely to reach that 30-degree mark, but how high, it will all depend on how quickly the cloud and rain moves in. We decided to look at this in our thunderstorm video early this week, how to look at thunderstorms on these charts, and then we looked at the theta E values, and you can see intense hot and humid air arriving ahead of that cold front, and again there's that temperature distinction there, that temperature contrast fueling all those thunderstorms, again giving us a big indication of some real intense thunderstorms on the boundary here, from that big theta E plume to the cooler more Atlantic air, and you can see the change in wind direction as well, from a westerly to a southerly, or transitioning from southerly to westerly, all again giving that lift to these storms. Could be a very lively Sunday coming up here. So for the third week on the trot for some here. If you look at the longer range now, again, it's not looking good if you want the continuation of warm or hot conditions. Again, we've got this low pressure system moving in on Sunday. Again, big thunderstorms and hot conditions in the east initially, but looking to next week, low pressure rumbling in off the Atlantic with west to northerly winds will keep it cool. Again, you can't rule out a brief ridge of high pressure, brief area of warm air masses moving up from the south ahead of low pressure system, but generally this is going to be cool and unsettled. You can see the upper air temperatures here. After perhaps a brief warmer patch on Tuesday, Wednesday, we saw that on the UKV, upper air temperatures around the 0 to 5 degree range at 850 HPA. Not cold, still temperatures likely to perhaps high teens, low 20s, but yeah, that's at best. Not seeing anything too great here. I must say though, I've repeatedly said this, hot air is still very close to our south, rebuilding, as we're not seeing a lot of southerly plumes. That hot air just remains and builds. If we did see a southerly wind into early July, it would be insanely hot, and the ground is very dry at the moment. Again, that might change after this low pressure period, but the ground is still pretty dry, so if we did see a southerly flow, we could see the furnace really turn on very quickly if that did come off. If you look at the GM now, again, high pressure continue to control the next couple of days, low pressure rumbling in next week, quite deep low pressure systems as well. With that westerly flow, it will be pretty unsettled all the way to day 10. And again, look at the temperature deviation, cooler than average, so not looking particularly great. We'll have to see how it does develop, but yeah, not great here. Cool and unsettled conditions. If compared to the ECMWF, again, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic next week, quite deep areas of low pressure here, and again, west to northerly winds. This will be a very cold pattern in the winter time. We're expecting a lot of wintry showers with this, but again, being in the middle of summer, just northerly flow, feeling chilly, below average, cooler northerly flow, but nothing too crazy. Precipitation is generally high and will still be highest in the northwest, closest to the centre of the lows, but all areas will see rain even into the south and the east here, looking likely to see perhaps as much as an inch of rain in the next 10 days, and again, most of that falling as we start early next week. If you look at the ensembles, you can see this really distinct pattern, hot over the next few days, really culminating on Sunday, and then a big temperature drop, as much as 10 degrees at 850 HPA temperature drop here in London. Could be higher and lower in other regions, and again, that's all fueling those showers and storms through Sunday. We do see a brief rise on Tuesday, and again, could be mid to high 20s there, but then generally we're around average, slightly above, slightly below at times, from around the 28th, 29th of June onwards, and plenty of showers. So we'll have to see how it does develop, but not looking like we're going to see a continuation of hot and dry conditions. I think many people actually would enjoy a bit more rain, especially for gardens and wildlife, things like that. A bit more rain would be useful, and of course it has been pretty oppressive recently. So a brief change for a week or two of something slightly more unsettled might not be too bad, but at the same time, if we did start to see big areas of rain, big areas of thick cloud and cold conditions come in, which is possible if we get the right conditions, I think a lot of people would start turning their heads and say, actually no, we'd rather the warmer, hotter conditions to return. So we'll just have to see, but not looking too great here. More toward the average in terms of temperatures and higher precipitation. Again, you can see this on the 2 meter temperatures, just generally 25 to 30 degrees in the next 3 days, and then dropping down to the low 20s the the start of next week, and then could be lower than that into the first couple of days of July, down to 20 or 21 degrees. More rainfall appearing as well, so generally cooler and more rainy. And the dew points are high at the moment, and they will drop and generally be slightly lower in the longer term. Still Atlantic air, so still got more sort of moisture to it, but not quite as hot as humid as the air mass we have at the moment. And just to finish, looking at the ECMWF ensemble members, hot over the next few days, peaking at maybe 15 or 16 degrees at 850 HPA, and then dropping down to around the 1981-2010 mean for the foreseeable future, really quite hovering just above and just below that. So looking generally average conditions with precipitation increasing into early July as well. So slightly more average in terms of temperatures and turning higher in terms of precipitation. So it's not looking terrible in the longer term, but it's not looking particularly great. But again, that all depends on what you do prefer. If you love these hot, humid conditions with thunderstorms around quite regularly, then unfortunately things are going to be changing. But if you like things to be less oppressive, a bit more cloud around, areas of rain as well, and temperatures around that 20-degree mark quite widely, then things are going to be going your way as we head into next week. We'll have to see how the rest of summer does play out, but we've definitely seen at least our fair share of proper summery conditions throughout June so far. But I suspect we will see more of this over the coming weeks and coming months as we do head into the next, or as we complete the first third of summer and we head into the remaining 2/3. We'll have to see, as I said, what happens. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay safe over the next few days. It's going to be pretty hot in the east, and of course, big thunderstorms potentially in the north and the west. So do stay safe out there, and I'll keep you updated on the latest Met Office warnings. We'll likely see a change to those tomorrow. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.